Well, Frank, we're all eagerly waiting to see what college players get drafted on draft night. Let's talk about the first two rounds in our local college prospects. So with Florida, we'll start with the Gators. Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver, seems like he's probably the only Gator that'll be selected in the first two rounds.
I think Ricky Pearsall really helped himself, Alessandra. Had a good season, but really helped himself after the season. The workouts are terrific. He ran 4.39 at the combine. He's athletic. He's athletic enough to play outside. He'll probably be a slot guy, but he could play outside. I really like Pearsall. I think he goes in the second round, maybe late second round, but he's a guy that a year ago people thought was a fourth or fifth rounder. I think Ricky Pearsall really helped himself go somewhere in the second round.
And then we're also talking about Florida State. Two guys that probably will be drafted in the first two rounds. Keon Coleman, also probably a projected early second-round draft pick. And then Jared Verse, a projected first-round draft pick for the Seminoles.
Boy, I love Verse. I think if the Jags could get him, if a team you love could get Jared Verse, I think he's one of the best edges in the draft. I like him better than Dallas Turner, the Alabama guy. I really like Verse. I think he's big, he's physical, he comes off the edge. I really like him. He's a mid-first rounder, in my mind, at worst. Keon Coleman's a good player. It hurt him a little bit that he didn't run well at the combine. Ran 4.61. You thought he'd run a little better than that. But he's a better player than he is a tester. And I think sometimes we get too caught up in the testing. Keon's a really good player. He can be a punt returner. He's a sure-handed guy. I think he's you said it, I think he's a second-round guy and is going to be a very good player in that second round. But versus a guy from FSU I really love.
Hey, you know, I never was very good at the ACT and SAT, but I think I'm like somewhat smart. I'm pretty smart. So, like, maybe I'm like Keon Coleman, not good at testing, but...
See?
You know?
See, there you go. I'm right with you. I'm not all that smart, but I wasn't good at the test either.
And let's wrap up with Georgia. The Bulldogs, of course, like every year, have a lot of draft picks, probably, especially in that first round. We're talking about tight end Brock Bowers, one of the best tight ends probably ever, arguably ever in college football. Talking about Amarius Mims, a really big guy, the tackle. And then also we're talking about Ladd McConkey, probably a late first round draft pick. I drafted him to the Kansas City Chiefs during our mock draft with Jamal.
Well, I think he fits the Chiefs. I love McConkey. I like him better than Pearsall, and I think they're both good players. They're very similar. He ran well. He's a great change of direction guy. I really like Ladd McConkey. I think he's going to be a really, really good pro. Mims is a good tackle, maybe more of a right tackle than a left tackle for me. He's a big physical. He's a broad guy. He'll be a good football player. And Brock Bowers not only is very good, Alessandro, but he came along at the right time. Move tight ends are all the rage because they're hard to cover. They're too big for defensive backs to cover, and they're too fast for linebackers. And teams have figured out in this day and age of the RPO and horizontal football, throw the ball to that move tight end. The Jags have a very good one in Evan Ingram. In fact, I think Brock Bowers is a lot like Evan Ingram, so I love Bowers. I think he's a really, really good player. Barring injury, he's a 10, 12-year pro. He's going to be great in the NFL.
You know, Frank, if I was a team, I'd draft you first overall.
I love that. Thank you very much. You're my agent from now on.
Thank you so much, Frank, and that's Yoga Sports.